Hi there. This video is a little bit different. I want to introduce some concepts, some psychological concepts, with the intention to show you a different context that might or might not explain why you are having these suicidal thoughts. This is called complex trauma. So, complex trauma develops complex post-traumatic stress disorder. This is a very simple and very general description, okay? Just for the sake of the time and to make it easy to digest. This complex trauma is developed in childhood. That means that in childhood, you live in a household where your parents more likely have a mental disorder, whether it was diagnosed or not. For name just a few, a narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, some pathologies, emotional dysregulations, social dysregulations, many, but just for you to have a few, the most common ones. What does it mean? It means that you in your childhood were neglected. In your childhood, your emotions weren't met. In your childhood, you lived in constant danger. Your relationship with your parents, in your household, with the people around you was ambivalent. One day everything was okay, or 1 minute, and the following minute the same thing was wrong. So you learned to walk on eggshells. You learned to predict danger before it happens. And you learn to develop certain psychological mechanisms for you to manage your stress and your pain and your fear, the constant fear that you were living in. So, complex post-traumatic stress disorder is what didn't happen in your life. Post-traumatic stress disorder is what happened in your life. It's that event that marked your life because it was a terrible traumatic event. And then you remember the event, you can talk about the event, you can pinpoint the event, you can describe the event. And then you can explain why your life has changed since that event occurred. In complex post-traumatic stress disorder, you cannot do that. So you develop depression and anxiety since childhood, but you cannot relate. You cannot say, well, my life as an adult is all messed up because what happened to me in my childhood. No, you can say, I had a bad relationship with my parents in my childhood, I was bullied at school, my teachers were complicated, my surroundings weren't really healthy. But you cannot really say what exactly happened to you. If someone says to you, okay, your mother was complicated or your father was an alcoholic, what exactly did they do to you? Oh, they never said, I love you. They never cared about me. Okay, but what else? What do you remember? You probably remember situations here and there. If your case was not with substance abuse parents and it was just relational mostly, how can you explain, oh, it's my mother was mean to me, my father was mean to me, they were never there. Okay, but it turns out that you cannot have a job, you cannot earn money, you cannot be independent, you don't go out, you don't socialize, you have terrible relationships, you're a very difficult person, every time that someone says something to you, you explode, you shout, you scream, you insult. It is very difficult to live with you. So how come, because your mother didn't pay attention to you, you have all of these behaviors that are not benefiting you? But you cannot explain that. You cannot explain how you're making bad businesses or having inappropriate business partners, why you cannot trust anyone, why you're hiding from the world and you rather have your life all by yourself. So life becomes very hard to you because you have no one to trust, no one to rely, no one to ask help or support. You feel constantly ashamed or guilty, and you're able to sacrifice everything as long as someone pays attention to you or give a little bit of time or recognition or help you out. But it turns out that your life is chaotic and nothing really works. So you find yourself in the need of controlling everything. But when you control everything and everyone, people complain because they can't breathe. They just cannot do their lives. And that brings more and more problems. And it seems that your life is never getting better, no matter what you do, no matter how good person you are. And you don't understand why no one is seeing how good person you are and how willing you are to sacrifice everything and do everything for everyone even sacrificing your own well-being, your own future, your projects, your ideas. Why I'm staying in this marriage that's a terrible marriage just for my children, and they don't see it? Why no one sees my pain? Why no one sees me and my needs? If I receive a present, I don't know, it's a blender, or it's a Hoover, or it's a toolbox with heavy tools, why no one can see that I would be so happy with the nice chocolate I like from the store on the corner that is €1, £1? No one sees that. No one listens. I do not exist. And if I do not exist, who will really care about me if I'm not around? Even worse, if I die, who's going to come to my funeral? If I die, would really someone realize that I'm not around? Who is going to miss me if I'm not around? Other than cooking, cleaning, and fixing everyone's life, because I've become a fixer, because I fixed my life all the time. And now when I see danger and problems, my mind works in autopilot. I see problems, my mind sees solutions. So I don't really listen what other people say. I'm not listening to you to dwell in your problem, or to say to you, oh yeah, I see that. Well, what we can do? What would you like to do? I don't have those behaviors. I don't have those thoughts. So as you talk to me in my brain, I'm developing the solution. And when I have the chance to speak back, I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the way we're going to fix it. And people feel unheard and supported and loved by you. And you say, how come? If I'm finding solutions for your problems that will bring you happiness and joy and peace and calm, how come that I am the problem now? And you don't understand what is really people wanting from you. This is just a very simplistic description of everyday life in a complex trauma situation. Response. So what is this complex trauma? Why do I feel this way? You feel that way because in your childhood, you have to face a dangerous environment. As a child, you didn't have elements and tools to cope with the danger of what was happening in your household. So you had to survive. That is what you may have heard, the survival mode. When you enter in a survival mode, the so-called fight and flight mode. So you have lived in fight and flight mode since the very beginning of your life, up until now, probably. So you're very tired, emotionally, physically, intellectually. You're very tired. You probably have some illnesses or something related to stress and anxiety, IBS or chest burn or any kind of pain or high blood pressure or something, or even more complex physical diseases that can be explained from the context of stress, extreme stress and anxiety. But you also have this depression of not being able to cope and not understanding why I have done wrong, why it's not working for me. Because your perception of the world is the perception coming from the complex trauma. So in your mind, you explain that saying, I live in these circumstances and I cannot cope in the way I would like. You may be a very successful professional, or you have a good income, but your love life is not really developed. And probably you have good relationships with people, but you struggle having really close, trustworthy friends, like that one or two people that are really your really close friends. Or you really struggle sometimes in the relationship with your children. You struggle in many aspects of your life, but your work and money, that is 100%. That is the only thing that you know that you do good, for instance. Or other people know that I can do good studying. I'm a very good studying, but I cannot develop my skills enough. So I have a job that it doesn't really reflect everything I know, you see? So there is most of the time one aspect in your life that is more concretely stable, but everything else is bringing this pain of not being able to accomplish. That comes from this complex trauma. from the depression of seeing the gap between what you know you are. And this is important because you do know you deserve better. You do know that you are intelligent, capable, attractive, fun, that you have a lot of information, that you are a cultural person, that you know better. No, you know that you could have a great life. You know that you know more than the other person by you, next to you, who is doing the job you wanted to do or have the success that you would like to do, and you know that you deserve because you're way far better trained or have more experience or you're more clever or you know better technically about that. But that person has something in their personality that allows them to succeed in something knowing nothing. And you cannot understand, how can I do not do that? Why is not me? So you have answers for everything. You know everything, a little bit of everything, because that is the only way that you can excel with your intellect, because everything else is messy, is chaotic. That is one way to see it. There are 1,000 ways to see it. So this example may not fit exactly your situation, but I want you to see the situation in the generalities, in the context of this. The context is, I do not feel I deserve. I want, but I just simply cannot get it. When situations are not going in the directions that I thought I was leading it, I wonder, what am I doing wrong? I want someone who sees me. I want someone who listens to me. I want to be loved for who I am, with all of my great things and all of those things that I still don't understand of myself. I want to be loved entirely. I don't want to be judged and criticized constantly. I don't want people coming at me telling me everything that I do wrong, how difficult person I am, that I talk too much, that I'm way too accelerated, way too stressed, way too complicated, that I like my solitude. I'm not as good as I would like to be engaging with other people because people tire me, drains me so much. And silence and harmony is the way I can control the environment and make it safe for me. So people coming from complex trauma, one of the things that everyone looks is safetyness. Above everything is safetyness. Is this person safety to me? Is the relationship safety to me? Is this work safety to me? Is going out safe to me? Is engaging in this situation is safe to me? Is this safe to me? So you go, you scan, because you're constantly scanning for danger. And when something is off, boom, it triggers your anxiety response, fight or flight, that you are already living in that. So you feel like you overcome that. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to stay. I'm going to try to make things change. I'm going to see how it goes. And I have the personality, and I'm anxious enough and aggressive enough to make my point and defend myself. And I feel I can win, so I'm going to stay. But if I feel I cannot win, or I can be even more exposed, or things are going to get ugly, then I'm going to run and I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave situations, relationships, people, everything that I feel is dangerous. Everything I feel that is not good for me to experience. But that is your perception. It's your perception of your surroundings, your circumstances. You perceive your circumstances as if your circumstances are dangerous, are hostile, are complicated, are drama. And you are looking for safetyness, peace, quiet, calm, reliability, trust, communication, clear instructions. So if you say at 4, it's at 4. If it's at 4:15, my mind, my anxiety is drilling my brain. Not because I want to be the problem, not because I'm over dramatic. It's just because I need to be certain. I need certainty. If you say that you like tea, please drink tea. But if you say that you don't like tea and tomorrow you ask for the tea, my brain collapses. So I'm going to say to you, but you said you don't like tea, so I've never bought tea. And then you feel guilty and you feel like the person wants tea that you didn't have because you never bought, because they said that they don't like it. And now you feel like they are blaming you for not having tea. That is your perception. So now you respond in a fight mode. I've never bought tea because you clearly said that you don't like it. Now you come saying that you do. The other person is expressing a wish, a desire, and you are expressing your protection, your self-preservation. You are coming at that person, telling them that what they're saying to you is hostile, is a criticism, is diminishing, is blaming you. They are blaming you for their change of mind, and this is very important because that blame is something that you learned in childhood. When they say to you that what was happening was your fault, not theirs. When your father or mother was drunk and they beat you because you were walking as a child and you hit the bottle and the bottle just broke or something, and you pour all the alcohol and they grab you and hit you to death because you did that, and it's now your fault that they are hitting you. So that happened every day. Or when someone else is in your household, maybe your mother is telling you that because of you, she is suffering. Because you are the one to blame, because you want them to have a Christmas tree, but they don't have the means to get a Christmas tree because they need to buy something else. Or you wanted a special gift, but you never received that gift because you were never a good boy, a good girl. You didn't have good marks at school. You were always drama. So everything in your life was turned back to you. You are the problem. That is something that you learned. You learned that the perception of the reality is wrong. When you see someone doing something wrong, talking behind your backs or disclosing your secrets and the details of your life or the things that have happened to you, even your traumas, to other people, say, oh, look, she was sexually abused, but she wanted that. She was 8 years old and the abusive was 35, but she was seducing that man. Can you believe that? Such a shame for this family. Those kind of betrayal that happens a lot in human interaction with people who are mentally unclear about the good and the wrong, create profound wounds, emotional wounds. I can talk for hours because complex trauma is complex. It's way more than what I'm saying here. But this is just something very, 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 very general for you to try to find yourself in this story and see if we can relate. So when life as a child was full of shame, guilt, gaslighting, people trying to convince you that one thing wasn't that way, was in another way, and the problem is your mind, the mind that is reading things twisted. So you are creating the drama, you are creating the problem. The problem was never there. People who comes and goes from your life, because when you are in good terms, you are the center of their attention, but then out of nothing, they discard you and take someone else as the center of attention. And then you wonder, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong, but that is the strategy, divide and conquer. So what happened is, in complex trauma, you didn't have care, love, security. You didn't have that. There were not integrity around you. There was no loyalty around you. There was no communication. There was no support. There was no family team. The family were soldiers and puppets manipulated by someone, the person with mental disorders, one or two, or whoever. So everyone was scattered because it's divide and conquer. Siblings had bad relationships between them. Everything was hostile and difficult and dangerous. And you have to navigate this since your early childhood. So you learn to develop these mechanisms of fight or flight with your brothers, with your parents. But when you're a child, there's very little options for you to fight much. So it's basically run away. When things get ugly, just run and hide and wait until things calm down for you to come out and have dinner or take a bath or even go to sleep. You see? If they weren't there, if you feel abandoned because no one take care of you, no one was there physically or emotionally to protect you, no one was emotionally present, you were literally abandoned for this lack of emotional needs that weren't met, this lack of emotions there. So there was nothing emotional happening. And it's not only about touching, kissing, and hugging. It's way more complex than that. It's the emotionality, it's the fact that say, no worries, you're safe. So safeness is a huge component of complex trauma. Safeness is the carrot that moves people with complex trauma. So all of these situations, the neglection, the abuse, the mistreatment, the insults, the betrayal, all of that combined was the way your upbringing was. That was the household you lived in, the food. You were spoon-fed all of these situations. And as a child, you were making analysis, but your analysis is very poor because your brain is still underdeveloped. So you didn't get analysis from the explicit situation that I love you very much. That's why I have to slap you on the face because you look like a prostitute with that lip gloss. Or you are not man enough. You look like a girl. You cry all the time. You're worse than your sister, but I love you very much. That's why I need to tell you this because no one else will tell you this. So you learn that ambiguity. You learn that love is painful. Love is complex. So because you don't want to feel pain, then you withdraw from love and relationships. This complex trauma is something that in the child's mind comes into the conclusion and learns from the implicit message, not the explicit message, the implicit message. So in that ambivalence message of I hit you but I love you, or I love you but I hit you, the child says, okay, implicitly the message there is, if someone hits me, it's because they love me. If someone does something wrong to me, it's because they care about me. So love is pain, love is drama, love is screaming, shouting, is violence, is aggressiveness, is jealous, is envy, is manipulation. Love is I need you to manipulate you to make you feel jealous. So when you come to me jealous and furious and you explode in frustration and violence and criticism, I feel loved. Say, oh, so he loves me. No, I saw that because he was so jealous for the message I sent or for the comment I made, and now I know that he loves me. You see? That is the implicit learning. And that is the most complex learning to eradicate because that learning comes from observation. So as a child, you observe and you connect the dots based on behaviors, not based in dialogues. Because your prefrontal cortex is not still capable of organize, analyze, and create and make sense of the world in context. So you make sense of the world based in what you experience, nothing else. So it's very short-sighted. It comes from a very undeveloped brain. It's more complex than that, but again, this is general. So now all of these pains and situations and beliefs and emotions are messing up with your adult life because now you grow older and you don't understand why you still cannot get your life the way you want it. You put so much effort. You do everything that you can possibly do, but nothing works. But you know you're a good person. And that creates a very terrible feeling of, I'm not seen, I'm not understood, and no one really cares. Because otherwise my life would be different if someone really cares. So no one really sees me. How can you not see how good person I am? How can you not see how much I've learned about loving people and taking care of people and making things work and being willing and able to do everything in my power to make you feel comfortable and good and happy and fulfill and support you and talk to you and communicate. I do everything. Just ask. Just say what you want. Just say what you want that I will make it happen because I'm a fixer. So I will make it happen. How can not people say that I'm a good person, so good that I deserve to be loved as a whole? I don't understand. So something must be wrong with me. But no, there's nothing wrong with you. This is not a personality trait. This is not because you have issues in your mind or your character. No, this is a complex trauma that is still messing up your adult life because you are still seeing those things through the lens of the trauma. because it's complex. It has the name for a reason, because it's complex. It's very complex to untangle all of these little tiny details that happen in your life when someone says, when someone did, and go there because you don't remember them. You know that things happened. You do have memories about certain situations. You can tell my father was an alcoholic, or my mother was a narcissist, or was a smoker, or drank a lot, or consumed drugs every now and then. Or you can say, I don't know, my father was never present, my mother was never present. You can relate to those things, but you really don't know how those things affect you for you to explain the way you live today and the way you feel today. But the depression you have, the size of your depression, is because you know that the life you have does not reflect the person you are. So that situation alone is telling you that deep inside you do have awareness about the value of yourself, of your person. You do have that knowledge because the circumstances do not reflect the value that you have, the person you know you are, the good in you. And that creates depression, huge depression, that we can cope with it. We can cope, we can keep going every day and be very functional because we do have always something in life that keep us grounded. We are the best in our job, or a very money earning, or the best person doing this or doing that. You have certain something that keeps you alive and you say, in this, I am the best. In this, I know I do right. If people don't like me, I don't care. If they don't recognize, I don't care. I know, and that all that matters. But your personality and the way you have relationships or socially behave, many things are awkward, are a little bit off. That makes people not to feel 100% comfortable with you. And you don't understand why. And you still have this imprinting of sacrifice. I'm willing to do everything. Except sacrifice this one thing that I know I do right. Because if I give up this, I don't know who I am anymore. And my whole life falls apart. Well, it's very much complicated, but this is in a very general way. So what happens now as an adult? You reach a point in which is, well, I'm still alive because I'm good at what I do and I have children and they love me. So I have no reasons to think about death because my life on and all works. But if someone goes through and says, well, do they love me? Really? Or do they love because they love I provide, I'm very supportive, I never make any drama or problems. Do they really love me? Does someone really love me? If I'm not here, who would miss me? Who? If I'm not longer here, how many people would attend my funeral? How many people would really miss me? I think they'd be better off without me because all the time are criticizing me, are telling me how bad things I do, all the bad things I do. So probably they will be happier. My spouse is just complaining. He doesn't have any connection with me. My children, they don't really care much about me either. My friends, they're more acquaintances than friends. And my work, it does work fine because it's my work, it's my business. But if I have to work for someone that I worked once wasn't really a nice person to me, or I really didn't make any friends there, I felt pretty much alone, and I worked very much because I needed the money and I needed to build a life. So what happens if I'm no longer here? What happens because I cannot cope with the emptiness? I cannot cope with the problems that are in my life because of this complex trauma that is chasing me like a ghost, and it's creeping in every time there is a crack in something. It comes like a ghost to tell me, you're not enough, you're not good, shame on you, it's your fault, you have done wrong, you could be better, move your ass, you're lazy, you're not enough, no one really loves you because you're a problem, you're very dramatic, you're all the time making problems, you're the only one who make a problem out of nothing, you're only complaining, always fighting, you're way too much, but also you're not good enough. How can I change myself? What can I do to reset myself? And now I also have to deal with my circumstances that I don't like because I cannot afford this house, because debt is just chasing me, and I have issues with the bank, with my credit card, because I need to change the car for my spouse, or I need to buy this for my kids, and debts are building up, or I cannot find a job, I cannot be independent enough, I depend on others, or I live on social benefits because I just cannot cope with my life. My depression and my anxiety have become invalidating. So how can I live in this life? Because if I'm such a good person that everyone says that I am, how come such a good person lives in this way? If am I a contribution to this world, can you tell me what is my contribution if I live this way and if I feel this way? What am I contributing with? What? God? What is it God about? What does God has to do with this? Is God love me so much? Whatever God you hold as a religion or belief, why would that God allow me to go through this? If I'm so valuable, this is the way that my God is showing me my value? If I'm a contribution, what kind of contribution is this? What am I contributing with? If the only thing I'm contributing is paying the bill of my doctor and my pharmacy, buying medication. So what is my purpose? There's no purpose. I'm doing nothing. How many years do I have left to live this way? 10, 20, 30, 40. I can't live that much in these conditions, and I don't know a way out. I don't know how to change this. I don't know how to feel better. I don't know. I just don't know. It's for real. I've tried everything. I've tried all sort of jobs. I've tried all kind of studies. I've done my best. I'm trying to focus and concentrate. But even when I read, I cannot concentrate in what I'm reading. So I read and I forget immediately. When I go to work, they give me instructions and training, and the following day, I remember nothing. I need to ask all over again, and then I make mistakes, all the time making mistakes. And every time I make a mistake, I feel like I'm an idiot. I feel a failure. I'm a loser. I'm no one. I have to ask. I feel humiliated because I know my talent and capacity is way more than this. So why do I have to go through this? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with my head? Is my personality? Is me, myself? What? I cannot take it anymore. I feel like everyone sees me and reads these hidden emotions and thoughts about me. They can read them inside me. It's like I'm exposed. I cannot be exposed. I need to be hidden. I need to be low profile. I need to be quiet. I don't want to engage in conversations and social interactions because I don't want to be there. I overshare. People ask me how I am, and I talk 2 hours non-stop, and I tell everything about my life and my son and my daughter and my dog and my neighbor. And people say, oh, okay, thank you very much for sharing. Or sometimes I have to lie because reality is so awful that I have nothing beautiful to tell, that I better lie about something to be part of the group. I better modify a little bit the information because I want to stand up and stand out as well, like other people do. I want to be part of the crowd. I want to be accepted. I want to have something good to tell. I want to have some success and winnings. But how long I can keep up with this lifestyle? With this, I pretend that everything is okay, but nothing is okay. Because people drain me, life is draining me. Myself, I cannot even live with myself. I live trapped inside of myself. I don't find the reset button, and I don't know how to change my circumstances. And the only thing I had left was my job, and now I've just lost my job. So what else is for me to do? I'm not one. I'm nobody. I don't even know who I am anymore. No one cares about me. No one accepts me. What if I'm no longer here? What if? Who's going to miss me? And even beyond that, what if I take my own life just to see them feeling guilty about the way they have treated me? Just for them to miss me? Just for them to see the void of me not being there? Just for me to see them suffering a little bit, because I suffer every single day. And I sacrifice everything for everyone without any recognition, without any affection, without any retribution, with nothing. So I don't care about presents, because people with complex post-traumatic stress disorder and coming from complex trauma are not really into that very much. Some are, but The majority don't really care because they're looking for substance, for safety, for connection, for respect, for integrity, for loyalty, for communication, for certainty. And there's nothing you can buy to make someone feel that way, except being yourself and being that way, being loyal, etc. So what if tomorrow I kill myself so they can learn the lesson and learn to see me in a different way, and to respect me and to value me, and see them to suffer even for a minute about my absence and miss me and feel guilty for what they have done to me, for the circumstances, for my boss, and someone said, oh, you know what, this person has just passed away, and it's because of the job. And my boss says, oh my God, the mistakes I made, please forgive me for the rest of my days. And I said, okay. But the thing is, that mental frame is not about, I want to kill myself. It's not about life ending. It's about, I cannot take this pain anymore. I want the world to stop and see me. I want something to be real. I want to be in something real. I want people to be the way I am with them. So, suicidal thoughts sometimes are not really coming from the real idea of I want to die, but the idea of I want the world to wake up. I want others to wake up. And at the same time, I want this pain to end. Just to clarify again, this is a complex trauma perspective. Suicidal ideation, it does happen in people with other circumstances as well, like mental disorders, physical illnesses, and other situations. This is the complex trauma perspective. Just please be aware of that. Complex trauma perspective only. Complex trauma is infinitely more complex than everything I have said here, but I've tried to put it in normal, everyday words and emotions and feelings and thoughts and ideas for you to relate and see if something that I've said here makes sense to you. Because if it does, that is the light at the end of the tunnel that we are looking for. That is the light that says, hey, things can go better. We can make this work. There is a solution. You can make it. We can go through this. Okay? You can find proper support. It is possible. This is not the end. Things can go better. That is the spirit of this message. Is give you the hope, give you the motivation, the inspiration on yourself about who you are. Give you the inspiration to say, I know I'm worthy. That's why I feel depressed, because my circumstances don't reflect my worthiness. But I know I'm worthy. I don't know how I'll make it work. I don't have to make it work today. I don't have to figure it out everything today. I don't need to run right now to the internet and search for solutions. I don't. I just need to take in this information, make sense of this. Tomorrow is another day, and then another day. And if you accept and you open your mind and heart and accept this new information that can explain better your circumstances, that's everything you need. The change has already begun. You are in the process of changing. I wish you the best. I want peace, calm, and safety for you. Check on this information as many times as you need. I'm sorry for all the mistakes. This is coming out of my heart. There's no script behind. I'm new making videos, so I have zero training. I have no idea how to make them, but I just feel compelled to do it because it's Christmas, it's a festivity time. January comes as a very complex time. Festivities is complex for many people as well. And I do want you to live because you're an inspiration. You are a survivor. You survived your childhood. That was super difficult, extremely difficult. You are a wiser person now that you know better. You are an inspiration for many others that feel the same way. You can tell your story, not to dwell in pain, depression, and confusion, but to tell them that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Things can change. There is a different path. There is a different perspective, a different point of view to this situation. And that's everything we need sometimes in life. Take care of yourself.